Hello?
Oh my God,
oh my God. Please. Why do
you?
Welcome to the MindMesh podcast. My name's Chayton.
And I'm Fish.
Oh, you didn't copy me that time, huh,
Well, I was
fucker?
letting you say your name.
Yeah, wow, but you couldn't let me say anything else? That's fine. That's peachy. But anyways, welcome to the MindMesh podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about our favorite rabbit holes. We talk about our favorite shower thoughts. We talk about all those random ideas that you have. Well, that's what we thrive on. That's
all
what we
the
talk
little things that fester in your brain.
Yeah, all those little we can't say fester in your brain because then it also goes into like those. You know how when you'll have a confrontation with someone and then like for the next 3 or so days you're thinking of, oh, I could have said that.
Yeah.
Like that kind of like argument that you have in your head. Like almost like you're like, what if I got into this situation again? This is what I would do this time because I'm smarter than the average bear. You know that feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, on today's episode of MindMesh, we have two fantastic topics. We didn't really discuss who would go first.
It doesn't matter to me. If you want to go first, go ahead and sling that topic. Slap that big dick topic on the floor.
Oh my God! What is on the floor? You just slapped the desk.
That's what I meant to say. I'm sorry.
Okay. So, I'm pretty sure we've mentioned this on a previous podcast or movie talk, but we'll mention again. We are film students.
Yes.
So we love the cinema.
We make movies.
We make the movies. We make the short films to send to film festivals, and hopefully something happens with them. Sometimes, probably not. Film industry's a bitch.
I mean,
what?
Not to go on a tangent, but that's not really what we.
Yeah, no, dude, I'm just going overarching. I'm taking the dart. I'm throwing it at the board.
Okay,
I know it's not hitting the bullseye.
You're generalizing.
Yeah, dude.
I get you.
Of course, you have to generalize when you're talking about such a broad topic as the film industry. But anyways, so something to go along with me being film buddies in training here is I love science fiction, but not your typical science fiction when it's like it comes from like Star Wars or Star Trek or like the whole alien stuff or Terminator where the robot uprising becomes, which actually... I mean,
it kind of goes into
well, I was about to say, it kind of ties into that because the topic that I love most is grounded sci-fi. And something that comes along with that is time travel, which I know time travel is not really grounded sci-fi in a sense. But you know what? Look, man, you can't be staring at it. I know you're watching. My Twitter feed was up. There's a great video of a rapper with a snake. I don't know. But anyways, time travel is one of my favorite topics. I've written films about time travel. I've studied time travel. I would like to say that if I went to
I've also written a script about time travel, and you criticized me for how I use the time travel.
Yes, it was so dumb. What do you mean? It was so bad. But like, I don't know. I've always had this fixation with time travel, and it goes back to like one of my favorite movies is Back to the Future, like the whole trilogy.
It's a great series.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic series. But that's what got me into my love of time travel and like thinking about how it works and thinking about how other movies use it. Because when you think about time travel, you don't have to laterally think about it as like a time hop to a different period.
Yeah,
you can also take it as, for me, like. Christopher Nolan's Memento.
I haven't seen that.
Okay, so the whole movie plays out forward and backwards at the same time. So you'll have all these moments where the film is in color, where you're in the present day.
Yeah.
But then the film will cut to these black and white segments that are in the past. But it starts from the end of the movie and the start of the movie, so the black and white is playing in reverse while the color is playing forward. So throughout the entire movie, these interjected pieces don't make any fucking sense until the very movie where they both intertwine and the black and white slowly fades into
color in the present day.
Yeah, in the present day. And it's this great thing. So yeah, like it's not only that I love time travel, it's just the aspects of messing with time in film.
I think that comes partially to use an editor and the ability to
and the message to do that, because it makes me wonder, like, they definitely wrote Memento to be like that, But literally on the like DVD Blu-ray version of it, if you go into like the special settings and you punch in like a specific code, there's like a quiz you can do on the DVD. And if you put certain answers in a certain order, it'll actually unlock the feature to watch the film in actual continuity.
That's really cool.
Yeah, to watch the film how it actually is taking place over time. And it's super crazy, and I just love the aspect of just messing with time. But what I would like to talk about is just the different kinds of time travel. And maybe I'll ask you about the script that you wrote, because I honestly don't really quite remember how you dealt with time travel. Was it very Bill and Ted where they get into or Doctor Who-esque where they get into like a telephone box and they...
You remember I kind of did like a Death Note type thing where he wrote the time in a book and then time traveled back.
Oh yeah. I don't remember why I didn't like it. It was probably something
it was because it was a running gag of like him being bullied by this dude. So like random people, he would go back in time.
Was it that? I don't remember the script at all. Maybe I don't. I thought it had more to do with like there was no consequence for the time travel, which like kind of reminds me.
No, he fucks up the time space continuum.
Oh, does he? Man, I don't know. Maybe I only read the first draft of it.
Who knows?
And probably. But what I was going to go into that is that the first kind of time travel I'd like to talk about is the single continuum, which is basically you can time travel, but you can't change anything. Everything's on the same timeline. You can just hop back and add certain things, but they had already happened beforehand.
So like example, what would
be? So the example I'm going to use is in Harry Potter. I don't remember which one, but the one where they had the little weird like necklace hourglass thing that if you spin it, it would take you back in time. There's one point in the movie where they're in Hegwalk, the big boy, big bearded boy that lives in that weird pumpkin. Hagrid, yeah. You can tell how much I've watched Harry Potter.
I mean, I haven't either.
Yeah, so they're in Hagrid's home, and like a rock gets thrown through Hagrid's window, and he like yells out the window, like, "Get out of here, you kids!" Even though there's no one there. Mm-hmm. And of course, Harry Potter, Ron Weasley, Hermione, I think they're all there. But anyways, so they go back in time, and they sneak up to Hagrid's house. I forget what they're doing. They're trying to steal something or get into his house or whatever. And then all of a sudden, I think it's Hermione picks up a rock and throws it through the window. So that's what I mean by a single continuum is in the original timeline, even though there's one, there was a rock thrown through the window by an unknown source. But then later on in the film, because they were first time, Hermione throws the rock through the window and it's revealed that it was Hermione who threw the rock through the window.
I see what you're saying.
So no matter what they do, the timeline is always going to be the same. It's always a single continuum and everything is already set in stone.
Okay, I see what's happening.
So
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, so that version of time travel is the ideology is that it's always set. And do I personally like that idea because it's like it's cool to think that it's always set and there's nothing that can ever change it. And
even like the time traveling part is even set in stone.
Yeah, even the time traveling part is even set in stone, which I think it's a really weird concept when thinking about time travel.
But like, I mean, I guess it goes into the like, I don't know. It goes into like the whole thing of time is ever moving, like constantly moving forward, and that can't change.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out.
As I said, it's weird to think about because as soon as you throw time travel into the mix, it throws a wrench into everything because you're messing with time. So it will make you think, oh, this shouldn't work.
Yeah.
But to go on to that, of course, I'm reading a lovely article about it because, you know, I have these saved on my phone. But Bill and Ted got to do the same thing where, I mean, have you ever seen Bill and Ted? So basically they like...
I have not.
Honestly, I haven't really either. I just know the general gist is like Bill and Ted find this time traveling like red phone booth and they go back in time and they grab all these historical figures for like a talent show or something in the end and they want
like a concert or something like that.
Yeah. So they get like Abe Lincoln and all and like King Tut and stuff like that and they bring it back and there's like no repercussions come the end of the film even though they stole all these historical figures from time.
Yeah.
So that's also considered a single continuum even though it should have majorly fucked up the timeline. That one makes a whole lot less sense in the Harry Potter aspect.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, it's just I look, Bill and Ted, it's fine. What I think they should have done is the Doctor Who path. Now this is called the fixed points time travel, which basically means that things can go askew, things can split apart in time travel, but there are certain points in history that no matter what you do cannot be changed.
So
the ideology behind it is that the characters can change some things. They can change some things, but not all things. And this is well, I mean, as we get crazier and crazier and deeper into the whole time travel like loophole and stuff like that, that's the more and more I like it because it gets more and more convoluted and confusing.
No, yeah, that's the stuff. I hate this example because it's a show I don't really like, but there was an episode of Family Guy where fucking Stewie and Brian time travel back to like one of the first episodes.
Yeah.
And then
I think I remember this actually.
And then like another copy of them went back and time traveled.
Yeah, no, I remember this.
And then it just multiplied and multiplied and multiplied.
Yeah.
Because like they fucked up, so they went to go again. So when they came again, they saw themselves when they previously time traveled.
Yeah.
And then that just duplicated over and over.
I think that falls into the later one that I'll talk about.
Okay.
The more convoluted, weird one. But I like the fixed points because the whole single continuum thing is a bit confusing because you have to think about time travel and how that doesn't break anything. It was actually meant to happen.
Yeah.
Whereas in this case, time travel is not meant to happen, but there are just certain things that can't be undone. There's certain like galactic world wars out there that can't be undone. There's certain instances. All I can think about is war, in all honesty.
Yeah, certain wars that can't be prevented.
Certain treaties that can't be unsigned, certain assassinations that can't be undone, yada, yada, yada. Basically, and this is kind of the path that Doctor Who follows, is that the fixed points in a timeline are always the most tragic.
Huh.
That's kind of the theme that they always go on. And I really appreciate that because it almost it grips you into realizing like
some of the most tragic moments in history, some of the most defining moments of history.
Exactly. And that's
why that can't be changed.
And that's literally the rule.
Yeah.
Is that they're so defined that if we change them, it would change too much.
Yeah.
So it's like if they really wanted to, they could change it. But if they did, it would alter so much that it would just cause a massacre in a sense. So I really appreciate that version of a timeline. And there's a lot more, and the Terminator franchise does this as well. But here's the good one. Here's the one that just it goes down the rabbit hole so deep that there's multiple rabbit holes.
All right, tell me about it, buddy.
So this is where the characters can change everything.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I mean, you've seen this in movies. You've seen this in Star Trek, in X-Men Days to Future Past. This is technically the one that Back to the Future is on, even though they don't really implement it all that much. Like, this is the one. This is the butterfly effect.
If you kill a butterfly.
Yeah, it could drastically change your future, that nonsense. So this is the one where...
This is like Marty McFly.
This is Marty McFly going back and like...
almost sleeping with his mom.
And then when he comes back to the present, it's like ruled by the bully or whatever.
Yeah.
For one of my favorite movies, I love how I can't remember the goddamn dude's name. But anyways.
What is it? Biff?
Yeah, Biff. Yeah. But like, so it's one of those things. This is the fun one for me because... this will be a nice segue into the next thing that we talk about later on, which hint. But so like for me, this whole infinite choices thing, this whole butterfly, like, oh, if you decide to buy this Snicker bar and not this Twix bar, it might make your day better. And that causes a branching in the timeline type deal. Like it can literally be as minute as stepping on a butterfly. And that's what I really like about it. And I think that kind of stems from I always loved I mean, I've fallen in love in recent years with like choose your own adventure games.
Yeah.
So like, I
Like
mean,
Detroit and
yeah,
stuff
Detroit
like that.
from good old, I believe Peter Molyneux or something like that. His French name. I don't know. I can't. I love the guy to death. His games are somewhat hit or miss sometimes, but I just love the ideology behind the choose your own adventure and that a single choice can affect the entirety of what you're doing.
Yeah, it's cool because it also, in regards to a game, completely makes your experience unique. But the whole idea of time travel, I love it. Or the whole idea of that version of time travel, I love just because I like the idea of you mess with one thing.
It's a domino effect.
Well, not only that, but you're in a whole nother timeline.
Oh yeah, now that you've altered time, you are now in a different timeline.
Yeah. And
which is weird to think about because technically, like, with this whole, you can infinitely change anything. Like because I always like to think of timelines as like, or time travel is almost like a branching tree. Like the more branches are, the more timelines that are like broken up. What's weird to me is that when you think about the whole fixed point thing with the fixed point time travel and timelines, is that no matter how far apart those branches stretch, no matter how many changes you've made before, they'll always come back together to a single point and reset themselves, in a sense.
So, my question is, thinking about time travel, and a big movie that came out was like Avengers.
Yeah.
What do you think about that time travel? Because there are a couple things that are a little muddy to me about that. If you want to get into it,
you'll probably have to point them out. While I was watching, I was like, "Oh, cool." Time heist. This is pretty awesome. I like how they're going back to previous films and stuff like that.
Do you remember their rules that they had? That like if they take something from one universe, they have to bring it, or one timeline, they have to bring it
and
back.
they have to like reset it at that exact moment type deal.
Yeah.
Like it's like seconds later or whatever. Well, that kind of runs off the infinite changes type deal. That's kind of what that falls upon.
Well,
But you have to, with that, you have to be so defined about it. Like, it's like, okay, if we travel to this point at this exact time, we have to return with it 1 second later to make sure nothing is changed type deal.
Yeah.
But go ahead with what you were going to say about.
The kind of problem I see with this is the very end when Cap tries to go, I guess spoiler alerts.
It's been out for a bit.
Yeah, it has. So I guess it doesn't matter. But when Captain America goes to return all the stones to all the different timelines, and then like Mjolnir and whatnot, he goes to all those different timelines to reset everything, and then you get that shot right after that where he's sitting on the bench and he's an old man.
Yeah.
Theoretically, if he went back and he stayed back there, he would be in a different timeline.
Not necessarily, because they created their own timeline, reversing the effects of Thanos, making Captain America going back and putting all the stones and Mjolnir back a fixed point.
Okay.
So they made their own branch of a timeline. But now he just went back in said timeline to return everything by himself. So as soon as they came up with the plan for this time heist, that's where they diverged. Going and getting each Infinity Stone didn't mess with this new timeline because that's the one they're on.
Okay.
And it doesn't mess with anything else over here because they go back and they return it. So they've already made themselves a fixed point timeline by going back. So basically the thing that sets it in stone is Captain America going back. That's the fixed point.
So he's not in a different timeline when he's like taking everything back?
No, he's in the timeline that they created. Because even if he goes back, even if he goes all the way back to where he can be with Peggy,
yeah,
and live that whole life, at a certain point, it's still going to diverge. He's still on that path now.
Okay, I kind of see what you're saying, but time travel is so tricky.
No, it's weird.
It's hard to wrap your head around.
So it's like it's one of those things where you have to like, there's certain rules that you have to abide by, but also with time travel, there technically are no rules.
That's what's weird about it.
And what I was going to talk about, Until Dawn. It's a
I've played that.
yeah, no, absolutely love that. I love because that's well, okay. I it's weird because you talk,
my friend.
you know, I know. I'm trying to formulate what words because, as we just said, time travel is fucking confusing as hell.
No, I completely get you.
It's one of those things where when you're talking about time travel and you're talking about pick your own adventure games and stuff like that, you're really more or less talking about timelines. And I like how, Until Dawn adventure game, choose your own thing. I like how every character has a chance to die. You can literally end that game, and it's the same with like Peter Molyneux's Heavy Rain, Detroit Become Human, Beyond Two Souls. Like you can literally finish all those games without completing the game.
Like you could probably end it super early, like by killing off all the characters.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I love that that's even an option.
Oh yeah.
But that goes into the whole like timeline debacle and stuff like that. And it's also weird to think Interstellar is also a time travel movie when you get down to the nitty gritty of it.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Interstellar?
No.
That's also in my top like 5. Well, spoiler alert, it's been out for a while, so fuck you. But
don't spoil it for me. I've actually been meaning to watch it.
Well, this is your own goddamn fault. So congratulations. Anyways, Matthew McConaughey goes into space, all right? And they find a black hole.
I know that much about the movie.
And when they go through the black hole, it stretches time and space, and they're on the another side of the universe. They basically jump into a wormhole to go find a new habitable planet. Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah.
So they basically they pull a Star Trek, they pull a Star Wars, they hyper jump, basically.
Yeah.
And in this new world or whatever, on these new planets, time moves differently. So they're, of course, in this big international space station like thing, and they have, of course, these little tiny space pods that like pop off of it and can go down to the planet's surface.
Here, wait. I want to take a whack at it.
Okay.
Are you gonna say something to the effect of like the way time works there? They're either aging slower or faster than the people on Earth. So when they get back, they've aged a significant amount less than people on Earth.
No.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that a person can go down to one of these planets, and when they come back to the space station, they could be 40 years older.
Okay, so the reverse of what I said, essentially.
But
kinda.
It's also in conjunction with Earth. So they could go to this planet and come back 40 years older. But on Earth, they're also 5 years older. So it's this weird.
Oh wow, that's very weird.
So it's this weird like mathematical thing where like in the end Matthew McConaughey is like the same age as when he left, or he feels that way, but some of his crew members are a lot older than him because they stayed on the station while he went down to the planet, or vice versa, yada yada yada. And then when he finally is able to like return back to Earth, his family is like way older. They're his age now.
Oh wow.
So it's like this weird like wormhole time jumpy nonsense that's like, I mean, I really dig Interstellar because Christopher Nolan does really good grounded sci-fi. So I have to give him credit where credit's due.
More of his movies. I've only seen the Dark Knight trilogy and Inception.
And Christopher Nolan did Memento.
I know, that's why you mentioned that.
No. And Christopher Nolan's, he's got an interesting style to him, I'll say that much. But anyways, we'll be right back after this ad read. Look, Fish, I need to know something. I need to know. Have you heard?
Yeah.
You have? Are you sure?
Possibly. You can tell me though.
Have you heard of Anchor?
Like the thing that's on like boats?
No. Anchor. It's the easiest way to make a podcast. I'll let you explain. You said you knew about it.
Oh yeah. I remember now.
Okay.
It's free.
It's free?
Yeah, there's
like absolutely free. No charge.
No charge. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer.
Wait, phone? You can just pull out your phone
and edit your podcast right from it. And
that's wild. That's absolutely wild. What else does it do?
Well, you can distribute your podcast, or Anchor will distribute your podcast for you.
Where?
So It can be heard on Spotify,
Spotify,
Apple Podcasts,
and
anywhere else. Many more.
Wait, so like Google Podcasts and all of those, you can hear it using Anchor? Oh my, really? What else do they do?
You can make money from your own podcast with no minimum listenership.
No minimum listenership? Are you kidding
man.
me? You can just make money from making a podcast? I didn't know you could do that.
It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place.
Wait, so you're telling me that if our listeners want to make a podcast, all they have to do is download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm and get started and make their own podcast?
Yes, that's all they have to do is download
all they have to do?
The free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
That's absolutely wild. What a great steal.
What a great steal. And we're back.
So let me tell you a little something. So I alluded to this before the ad read, and that was video games. Take the floor.
Man,
that's all. That's all the segue.
I had a better segue.
Okay, tell us. We'll cut this all out. Don't worry.
Here, we'll cut it out.
Here we go.
We won't actually.
What, dude. That's part of the gag. You don't tell them that we're not going to do it. We actually do it.
Oh man, did I forget it now? Oh
yeah. Did you forget
Speaking of time travel, I wish I could travel back to when I was a kid.
I hate this already.
And play the video games play the video games I love now for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Which are?
Well, one of them being Flash games, which are about to die out.
Well, haven't they already? Wasn't Flash discontinued like last year?
It's discontinued in 2020.
Oh, it's discontinued in 2020. Okay.
Fully discontinued where browsers won't support it.
Oh, rest in peace. No, I wasn't like, I'll say this right now. Even through elementary school, middle school, high school, all that stuff, I wasn't like super into Flash games. Like I played them when I was like bored in class, but I was never like, I never had like a favorite. I never had like I had a website that I went to, but I never like had one that I always grabbed onto that I could consider one of my favorites as a kid. Like there was like Pop Tropica that I played in elementary school. Wow. Yeah. Was that Flash? Was that technically? No,
I don't think that's Flash.
And then there was that one where you had that weird like red triangle that you could like press left and right and you would dodge through all these like geometric cubes and stuff like that. No clue what that one was called.
I think I know what you're talking about.
And it would go like weird neon green sometimes, and then it would go back to random gray, white, and red little slabs, and it would just change depending on how far you got. And then of course there was Cookie Clicker. But
all those like food.
Yeah, no. So I can't say that I was ever super into Flash games. They were just a way to buy time for me.
I mean,
it's nice to know that your favorite video games as a child were Flash games. I was just busy playing Mario Kart.
Well, when I was younger, we had a desktop at my house, and one of the first games I remember playing is this like SpongeBob Flash game on their website.
Oh, on Nickelodeon's, yeah.
And it something about like making Krabby Patties and then like throwing them out to all the little amoebas that from like the very first episode.
Oh yeah.
And I remember playing that. I remember playing this like Kids Next Door one where you're at this ice cream factory and it's this platformer.
Okay. I never considered those Flash games, but yeah, I played those. I mean, I don't have any. Once again, not super fun. I played Ben 10 ones, but I don't. I never had like. Or Scooby-Doo.
I know which one you played. You played the one where you can make your own levels, wasn't it?
No, that was a thing.
Yes, it was a Ben 10 one where you can make your own.
No,
levels.
It was the like original where you played through like the first season. But then there was also all the Scooby-Doo ones where they were like actually like story based. Where there was one where they were on a cruise ship and there was a ghost pirate or whatever, and then there was one that was like kind of Phantom of the Opera-esque and stuff like that. I played the Scooby-Doo ones a lot, but once again, not favorites.
But it was kind of, and when I got into like elementary school and stuff, and middle school and high school, it kind of became the same thing as like what you said. When I'm bored, in computer class or whatnot, just I'd play those games. I did have specific games I liked. There was one called Dune Buggy.
Yeah, I know. Like all these, I'll probably remember.
Do you remember Raft Wars?
Yeah. Where you're like the kids on the raft and you're having to like upgrade your stuff to like slingshot projectiles at the other person's raft.
Exactly. I love that game.
Well, now that we're discussing this, I'm actually having like a weird repressed memory, and I just remembered the first video game I ever played.
What was it?
I was at my grandparents' house, and this was before my family ever had a computer. They had like an MS-DOS computer, like, well, not MS-DOS, like Windows 98 S computer. That was like right on the edge of MS-DOS, like right after. And there was this ski game on it where you were a skier, and I think this was like ported to Flash or ported to mobile, and you were this little skier, and you had to use left and right and up and down to like speed up and dodge stumps and trees and go off jumps and stuff like that. But then randomly at a certain point, if you weren't, you had to go really fast, because at a certain point, a Yeti would just come out from the side of the screen and would chase you. And you had to be going fast enough, because if you're going too slow, you would be insta dead. There's no lives. That's your high score. You're done.
I
played that for hours. I literally played. I don't even remember what it was called, but that was my first video game. I literally, every time I went over to their house, and it was weird because their computer was like in their garage in like this little like side area where it was like this office, but the office was in the garage.
Weird,
oddly designed house. But I would like just sneak off in there, and I don't even have any memory of like any of my cousins or like my siblings or anyone ever being in the office with me. I just remember being in there by myself playing this game, which is also weird that I don't remember any family members ever going into this portion of the house.
You just went in there and figured out how to work everything by yourself.
Yeah, I hacked the computer, started playing this fucking ski game, got wrecked by abominable snowman plenty of times.
What was I gonna say? So what besides Flash games and computer games, when it comes to console games, what were some of your most fond memories of as a child?
So my first,
also side question before you go into it.
Yeah.
Were you allowed to play rated M games at an early age? And if so, what were they?
I never had really any interest in M-rated games, because like the only M-rated games that I knew of at the time were like Call of Duty and like first-person shooters, and I was never really super into those. So I don't remember when I played my first M-rated game, but it was probably when I was around 13 or 14, and I never really had super high interest in them until I found like story-based ones that I was like, yeah, I can get into that.
Stuff like BioShock and whatnot.
Yeah. So to answer your question, the first like console I ever had was the Nintendo GameCube. But before that, I had the Game Boy Advance, then the SP, and then of course go down the timeline.
Yeah.
So favorite games as a kid?
If you give me like 5.
5 of them, okay. Easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Give me a range. Consoles, handheld.
I'll give you 2 consoles and 3 Game Boys.
Cool.
And this is just solely from childhood before I got like a PS3 in my teens, yada, yada, yada. So on the GameCube, the 2 I would say that I played the most often, that I love playing the most often, the first one is kind of a given, Mario Kart Double Dash.
Oh, yeah.
That was the bee's knees for me. I loved Mario Kart. I loved the fact that you could have 2 characters, and based on the combo characters you gave, I have an itch in my nose. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. I just thought you've been picking your nose.
Yeah, no, I've been doing it for the fucking past. It's like a single hair, and it's like tickling a certain spot, and I'm trying to get it, and I can't get it.
It's okay, bro.
But anyways, so with Mario Kart Double Dash, I love the fact that you could pick any any combination of characters, and based on that would actually change the option of carts that you would get, along with certain items that were exclusive to said combo. So if you picked, if you picked, say, adult Luigi and baby Luigi, you would get a medium range cart, and then you had the ability to get green fireballs and a chain chomp.
Huh.
So that was an exclusive item pairing for that said pair, and that was the exclusive carts that you could have for said pair. Now, if you did Mario and Luigi, you would get medium carts, and you had the ability to get green fireballs and red fireballs and stuff along those lines. Baby Mario, Baby Luigi, you get a small cart that's super fast, and you would have the chance to get Chain Chomp, and it would basically double your chance to get said item.
See, I'm gonna go ahead and say one of my games because it relates to this.
Yeah.
My first home console was a PS2, and then my first handheld, of course, was a Game Boy. But going on the thing of racing games,
he's about to say like
Sonic Riders.
Oh, I thought you were gonna be like Garfield.
No.
Garfield cart.
No, Sonic Riders. I was super into that game.
Yeah, I think my buddy had Sonic Riders on the PS2 as well, and we played that pretty often when I was at his house because he didn't have a GameCube. He only had a PS2.
See, that's how I was. I never had a Nintendo console. Speaking of Mario Kart, I only played that at either like friend's house or like, when you go to like pediatric dentists and whatnot, and they'll have like little consoles in the back.
No, I don't.
See, the
all they had was those weird little maze games where you had the beads on all the pipes.
See, there was this dentist I went to that had like, there's just a room of like 4 TVs and like 4 GameCubes.
Wow, you're fucking cool. I wish I grew up in your town. I didn't have none of that. We just had board games and children's books.
Yeah, those were my only 2 experiences with Mario Kart.
Yeah. Yeah,
So I
think I've had every single Mario Kart besides 64 and Super Mario Kart on the SNES. I think those are the only 2 I've never played, which Super Mario Kart on the SNES actually got ported to the GameCube as Super Mario Super Circuit. So I've never played 64 and that's it.
Interesting. That's the big one that got super popular, right? I mean, they were all really popular.
They were all super popular, but 64 is what kind of put it on the map. So I guess, well, I've owned every single Mario Kart except for that one. And of course I had the reboot on the SNES or on the GameCube. But so my next one up for the GameCube is actually, and this one's kind of weird, for the sole fact that it's the 3rd game in a trilogy, but I never played the original 2. So it was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 Mutant Nightmare, but not for the base game itself. The base game's fine. It's cool. It's whatever.
Yeah.
My favorite part was that this was a GameCube game that came with dual discs. It came with 2 fucking discs because the game was too big for a single one of those mini DV bullshits.
Wow, that's cool.
So to play certain parts of the game, it literally told you to take out disc 1, put in disc 2. That's how.
Certain parts of the game. So like not all of like, I imagine it would just go up to a certain point in the game and
that was
switch it out. Okay.
But there were also special features on each disc that were different.
Oh, okay.
And one of the special things was on disc 2, if you put it in, you had access to the old Ninja Turtles arcade game, Turtles in Time, that they completely remade specifically for this version of the game. And I probably played through that, hundreds upon hundreds of times. If my friends came over and we got sick of Mario Kart, we were playing Turtles in Time. We weren't even playing the main game. We were playing Turtles in Time. And I think it was a long time after I got that game because I got so enthralled by Turtles in Time that I'm having a weird memory moment where I remember sitting down later on, like after I had the game for like 4 or 5 years, playing the main campaign and realizing I'd only played up to like the 3rd mission. And there was like 12. I was just like, wow, I thought I had beaten this game, but really I haven't even scratched the surface. So that was kind of funny and it's weird to say that was one of my favorite console games as a child because I never even played it technically.
You just played like a mini game on it.
Yeah, I played a mini game, even though I mean
it's technically a full game, but it was like a side feature.
I'm trying to think because I played it recently, maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, to just like reminisce, and it was, I think in total it was either 45 minutes or an hour and 45 minutes to complete the game. I don't really remember. But time flies when you're eating pizza. It's crazy. All right. It's a hack and slash. Literally on the GameCube, you didn't have, since you couldn't put in quarters, if you just pressed the start button like 50 times, it gave you 50 lives. That's fantastic. So moving on from the GameCube to the Game Boy. Now I'll leave my favorite for last. Let's see. What was my favorite games on the Game Boy? Oh goodness. I think there was a few Scooby-Doo games I was big fans of. The one that comes to mind currently, I think it's called Scooby-Doo Monster Mayhem. And basically the whole gang goes to this movie maker studio and they find all of these like masked monsters and performers and stuff like that. That basically the costumes are making them insane or something weird. And so
Scooby-Doo games on the Game Boy were always so weird for me.
Oh yeah, because then you would play them the console version. They were completely different. They were the exact opposite of what the Game Boy. Like I was watching speaking of this, actually I was recently looking up the console version of Monster Mayhem and watching what it actually looked like on consoles, and I was like, God, I could never play this. This doesn't look entertaining in any form or fashion. But my favorite part about Monster Mayhem was Scooby-Doo got costumes in the game.
So you could change what he looks like?
No. So every level that you went through, there was the movie studio, there was a museum where you had to go through the Ice Age where you became like Caveman Scooby or something like that. No, it wasn't Caveman. We'll get back to that. There was a Chinese level where you got a Kung Fu outfit where you could actually attack the enemies. In the Movie Maker, you got a pterodactyl costume where you could actually glide. I'm trying to think. So every level had a new costume for Scooby, and then every level, of course, added what the previous costumes to the level.
Yeah.
And there was one where you were like Robin Hood, where literally you would fire plungers at walls, and that's how you traverse the area. Was you'd fire plunger, then plunger, and you would jump up on these plungers, and they would act like springboards.
Yeah.
So that was probably like one of my favorites when it came to the Scooby-Doo games, and I can never look back when it came to the console versions. Like the handheld versions were so utterly different from the console versions, but I just adored them.
I had like one, I can't remember what it was. It was on the Game Boy Color.
On the Game Boy Color?
I didn't have a Game Boy Color at the time, but my parents just got me this Game Boy Color Scooby-Doo game. Can't remember what it was called. I couldn't figure out how to play it because I was too young.
It's on the Game Boy goddamn Color. You probably couldn't tell what was happening on the screen.
Yeah.
No, I had a buddy. It's not a different buddy that had a PS2 as well, but he had a Scooby-Doo game that I think was like the first one in that new generation when Cyber Chase and Zombie Island came out and all
was
that.
It like the 100 Nights of Frights?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was. But I played it at his house, and I just remember being like, because I think that was actually before I got into GameCube, and I wasn't used to like 3D games and stuff like that. So that was always really confusing because I remember picking it up and trying to play and be like, how do you move? How do you do this? How do you control all this nonsense? Let's see. What's the next one on my roster? Maybe I don't have 5. Maybe I only have 4.
Okay, then give me your 4th one.
Okay, this is by far my favorite. By far the one I have played hundreds upon hundreds of hours in. I think you know where I'm going with this because I talk about this game constantly, trying to get you to play. And that is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red Rescue Team. Yes, I love the Mystery Dungeon games over the actual Pokemon games. I don't care what anyone says. I had a blast. And I'm not even into dungeon crawlers. I'm not into any of that stuff. But man, if I can't pick up a Game Boy and just rail through
as a
Red
kid,
Rescue Team,
I couldn't get into it. I tried. I couldn't get into it.
I love the fact that literally as soon as you start the game and hit new game, it took you into a fucking personality quiz and it chose what Pokemon you were based on the answers.
I did like that.
I love that aspect of it. And then I just got so enthralled by the story. I just love the idea that a human got cursed and turned into a Pokemon. And like, it's this, well, you've never even played the game, but it's an end of the world scenario because you're a Pokemon. Literally, there is now a meteorite in the sky that is crashing to Earth because of you. You are the bringer of calamity. You are the bringer of the earthquakes that are ripping apart the savannas. You are the person that's making the ice mountains melt. You're the reason that there is now a bizarre blizzard in the forest. You're literally the cause of the calamity because you got cursed because you touched the Nine-Tails tail.
Huh.
And the only way to like stop this meteorite from happening is to climb up I think it was a 150 floor sky tower where you met Rayquaza, had to defeat him to prove your worth, and then he would solar beam into the sky or hyper beam into the sky to defeat the meteorite.
Huh.
And it was just this thing where like as a kid, I wasn't expecting it.
No, I wouldn't expect that from a Pokemon game either.
Yeah, no, but then I fell in love with it. And then sadly, I fell off the whole mystery dungeon train. I've been meaning to like buy them all off eBay because I had the GameCube or the Game Boy version and then the 3DS version. And there's literally 15 sequels in between or something like that.
I have one of them for DS that I thought about replaying again.
It might have been... Because, well, it's weird because when Red Rescue Team got released, it was right when the DS got released. So Blue Rescue Team was the one on the DS, and it's the exact same story. And then everything after that... I think
it is Blue Rescue Team.
Yeah, so everything after that was specifically DS until the 3DS came out.
Okay.
And then I think there was 2 on the 3DS. Or something like that. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird. But yeah, those are my favorite video games. I feel like I talk so much on this podcast. I feel like I completely took the stage. You know what?
It's okay.
We can make this a 2-parter. Next episode, we can talk about all your favorite childhood games.
Cool. Sounds good.
I think that should be a plan. But anyways, thank you so much for tuning into the MindMesh podcast. You can find us on all your favorite podcast sources, be it on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcast, I think Spotify. No, not Spotify. Breaker, there's one on. We're on a lot of sites. So if you're listening to us on one of those sites, you can like, subscribe, follow us, whatever. If you are listening to this on YouTube, which releases 2 days later, we release every Monday and on YouTube every Wednesday, 5 p.m. at each time Central each time. So basically, search MindMesh on your favorite podcast sites, and maybe we're on there. But anyways, my name's Chayton.
And I'm Fish, and we'll see you later, guys.
See ya.